How many of you guys have actually lived through a hurricane? Wow, surprising number of hands. Well, I lived through a hurricane too, but not the kind of hurricane that you did. My daughter Danielle DeVoe is a hurricane, true force of nature. And what I'd like to relate to you is just a few brief moments of her life where she's overcome a lot of personal issues. She's with hard work and determination, and she's a success story of someone who's found her passions early in life. Now, I remember June 21st, 1993, I got woken up at 3:30 in the morning. Boom, boom, boom. Danielle's mother, Karen, she was like 7 days overdue with Danielle. She goes, it's time to go to the hospital. I lived in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, but we had to go to Tulsa. Karen was a high-risk pregnancy at that time. So we jumped in the car, and I thought I was going to give birth to a baby in my car. So I'm driving down to Tulsa, which is about 50 minutes away. And I swear I heard a pounding. I heard, "Mom, let me out of here." It was all very exciting, and boy, she came out. She was a 10-pound baby, which is amazing because she's like 5'2", just a little tiny thing now. And she came out overcooked looking, all dark and all this stuff, but very ornery from the start. And one thing about my daughter, she started walking very early, and she was articulate at 11 months. Because one time I changed her diaper, a very foamy diaper. And I said, "Danielle, girl, you're poopy." And she goes, "I'm not poopy, you're poopy." Okay, so there's a sense of the attitude here. When she was an amazing person. She's overcome a lot. She's always worked hard. And I remember in high school, she's a straight A student, but she just worked so hard. And I remember when I was in high school, I was an A student, and her mother was an A student. I remember my dad saying, "It's 3 o'clock in the morning on a school night. You need to go to bed." And I'm working on some chem lab or something, because I worked very, very hard at school, just like she did. And I remember telling her, "Danielle, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You have to go to bed." So I got a sense of deja vu. For me, time is different than most people. To me, this was just yesterday. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I was giving her a bottle. Really, it's yesterday. And friends that I haven't seen in 20-some years, I run into them. I think it's just like yesterday, but it's not. So my perception of time is different than others. And I remember her graduation from high school, and she had an award ceremony, and I was supposed to be there. With Danielle, she keeps things close to her vest, and you don't know things until the last minute. And there's an award ceremony in addition to her graduation ceremony. And I remember her high school because she actually, I thought, could be a thespian. But when she tried out for a Kill and Mockingbird when she was a freshman, she didn't get that part. But she was hanging out with a friend who wanted to be a techie, to do lights, sets, costumes. And all of a sudden, she got brought into that, which turned out to be one of the great passions of her life. She became the head electrician or the lights person, the sets for Athens Drive. And I remember her last grand finale there was doing Cats. And she was actually doing makeup for some of the actors. And I remember she actually burned herself in one of the lights, and I had to bring some kind of patch for her arm. And I brought her a coffee, and I remember that. And she was in her element there, working the lights behind the scenes. And that started one of her vectors in her life. Now, choosing college is very difficult. It's one of the key moments of your life. And in 2011, she was looking to go to NYU, Columbia, Stony Brook. She got some scholarship offers. And, she was like me. I wanted to get out of state. I'd get away from mom and dad. But she was determined to go up there. But one of her interviews for Columbia was in Wilmington. And when she went to Wilmington, she goes, "Well, I like it here. I feel good. This campus is kind of pretty." And she realized that at Wilmington, she could get what she wanted, a dual major in film and theater there. And it's one of the best film schools on the East Coast. Dawson's Creek, a number of places were done there. So she applied. But it was interesting at that time, I went to a body, mind, spirit expo at the Raleigh Fairgrounds. And I ran into this guy who said he was an astrocartographer. I go, I'm kind of curious here. I mean, I've done with financial astrology for many, many years, and I go, wow, it works really well for me. I wonder if this works on a personal level. So I submitted myself as an experiment. This guy didn't know me at all. And in 20 minutes, this guy called my life. It's unbelievable to me, all right? It started with me. He told me well, your line here says your best job offers would be in LA or San Diego and blah, blah, blah. And I knew this. I had tremendous job offers in LA. I had a great job, and that's where I worked with nuclear fusion. There was a joint partnership with my oil company, with the company out there. And he told me everything. He goes, this is where your great professional line would be. This is where you should have been. And I go, I know that. I stayed in Oklahoma. Dummy me. You come to these forks in the road, right? And you take them, right? And he also told me that 1999 would be the great transitional year of my life. It was. How do you know these things? That's what brought me from Oklahoma out here. So I go, wow, I have to do this for my daughter. She's got big decisions to make. So I had her do it for my daughter and my son. Well, it came up for my daughter. He goes, wow, she'll be good wherever she goes to school. But if she goes to Wilmington, UNCW, she will have the greatest time. Her sun line goes right through Raleigh, right through Wilmington. He jumped up and down. And he recorded this to her. I don't know if that decided it for her, but she got what she wanted there. But I must admit, from the day she went there, she loved it there. Some kids go to college and they don't feel at home at all. She loved it there, and I must admit. And I rarely saw her except on Parents' Day. But when I went up there, she was working the film theater there. She was in her element. She was a projectionist because that was part of her study curriculum. But she also ran it by her senior year. She was the manager of the Lumina Theater there on the Student Union. And she was a master of ceremony. I've got countless hours of taping her introducing a movie event. It's rare that you go to a place where you feel really at home and really well and really good. But I'm going to digress, because when I went to her high school graduation, she had an award ceremony then, and she actually she's very artistic, she designed her own costume. She came up and accepted the award with a dress of her own design, which was great film video. But at that time, I had my camera all lined up, and it was out of memory. So I missed all that footage. So I says, I will do better next time. I will do better. Now, her graduation was last weekend. Now the problem there is, I didn't know this because she keeps all her details of her life to herself until the very last moment. When I realized I was doing a dance performance, I was working with a friend, a part dance partner, for months. It was the same time as her graduation. And I wish she had given me some time and details. But I finally figured out that I could maybe go back and forth. My daughter had 4 ceremonies. 4 ceremonies over 2 days. And I go, okay, I can make 3 of these and run to Stanford and run back. That wasn't good enough. And I don't blame her. This weekend was all about celebrating my daughter and all the hard work she's done. So, with much regret, I told my dance partner I wasn't going to be there. And that's like Dancing with the Stars. It takes lots and lots of hours to make things look simple and easy and good. But I went for my daughter. And what an event. The Friday one, just last Friday, all of a sudden I went to this luncheon. She didn't even tell me. She goes, it was for a senior medal. I go, what's this about? Right? And then I met her boyfriend. And her boyfriend goes, I just found out about this an hour and a half ago. I had to wear a suit and I had to be here. And I go, okay, I don't feel so bad now. I don't feel so bad now. But all of a sudden, she comes and she's wearing another dress of her own creation. And her mentor came over. I got to meet the lady who nominated her for this award. And the chancellor's up there. I mean, this is a very select place here. My daughter's getting this award. And my daughter was in all her graduating colors. I have never seen a graduate so decorated. In fact, she looked like a 4-star general. I didn't know if to salute her or hug her. I mean, I didn't know what to do. I'm just totally amazed. It was so impressive. And that was, wow, what a way to start the weekend. I got to meet all these people that were mentors to her. And I actually took a video of her actually getting an award from the chancellor. So that was just a warm-up act for her weekend. The very next day, I kind of thought, I can still skip out of her second graduation. and get over to Sanford and come back, right? I still had, and I had my car, and I was ready to go. This was her film graduation. It was in the theater now that she had been a projectionist, where she'd actually hosted some movie events. And I was in the seat, the same seat I was in on Parents' Day when I was watching her do her stuff, and I was being proud. And she was sitting right next to me. And they started out on the department head, and he welcomed and he introduced the admin people that made the event possible. And the admin person kept saying, if you haven't signed in with me, please do, otherwise you won't get a diploma. So and he got to the point where he announced all the cum laude people. Now I had just learned that day my daughter was magna cum laude. She got like a 3.9 or whatever in film theater. And she was going to get called up for magna cum laude. And she said, oh wow, this is a big thing for her. Well, he got to the magna cum laude people. And I had the camera. And I go, wow, I'm recording it. He's going, I'm going to record him calling my daughter. I'm going to record her standing up and beaming. And I'm on this. I go, this isn't like in high school. I'm on this. And then the last person's name was called, and it wasn't my daughter. He had forgot to call my daughter's name.
Oh no.
Immediately she was deflated. I mean, the air the blood went out of her, and I'm thinking, okay, well, they'll fix this. They will fix this. I'm sure they will fix this, you know? Minutes go by. Nothing. The ceremony gets known. Professors had looked over. Her friends had looked over. And then I thought, I got to do this. I got to fix this. I can do this. I can do this. I'm a Toastmaster by God. So I noticed the lady standing on the side who was the admin person for the event. And I leave my seat, and my daughter goes, where's she's thinking I'm bailing and going to my dance performance. So I run around and I find this lady. I go, wow, my daughter's all disappointed. You know, she was magna cum laude and her name wasn't called. And she goes, oops. So she runs up, gets a card, writes down Danielle DeVoe, magna cum laude, and she runs it back up front to the head of her department. And he goes, I blame the registrar for this. I only get the name from the registrar. And he goes, this one person, this very special person is a magna cum laude too. Danielle DeVoe. Doesn't even get the name right. And then when he gives her diploma, I record that, and he's apologizing for all this. So I go, okay, my purpose in life is over. I can now move on, right? Pass on. But another thing, right after the event, people said, oh, Danielle, I saw your movie last night at Baker Hall. And I'm going, movie? And she goes, movie? Oh, they played you did a film? You know, I hear about these things at the last minute. But her boss aired her film, how she got into costume design, for us, right after the graduation when people had milled out. So we saw for 7 minutes, and what a special thing. And if I'd gone to my dance performance, I would have missed this. Now at this time, my daughter had 2 more graduations, you know, the big run through in the arts and sciences, in theater, which was very funny because all these actors, unemployed actors, got up and gave good talks. And it was like a very small thing, so she did her theater thing there. What an amazing weekend. And it's the time to celebrate her life. But, you know, what I came away from this, and at that time, a tropical storm was battering Wilmington. So it was either pouring down rain or the cloudless sky. I thought, how fitting for a tropical storm to be here when my daughter's graduating, who is a force of nature. But more importantly, it's the power of hard work, finding your passions early in life. And my daughter really is an inspiration to me to keep pursuing my own creative goals. And overall, I'm obviously very proud of my hurricane named Danielle. Wow.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I really like the